Okay, so let's dive into a really fascinating idea, one that connects some of the strangest science you can imagine with, well, our most human quality. We're going to build a bridge from the fundamental rules of the entire universe to this simple, everyday act of being kind. I mean, that's a huge question, right? In this explainer, we're going to explore how quantum mechanics, the science of the very, very small, might just give us a profound new way to look at why compassion isn't just a nice idea, but maybe, just maybe, a reflection of reality itself. To get there, we've got to start by looking at the bizarre, almost magical way the universe works on its most fundamental level. Because let me tell you, things get weird down there. So, you might have heard of the famous double slit experiment. What it proved is that a single particle, like one electron, can act like it's in multiple places at the exact same time. It behaves less like a tiny little ball and more like a wave of pure potential. This is our first clue that the solid, predictable world we see every day, yeah, that's not the whole story. Underneath it all, reality is a realm of possibility. But that idea, that fuzzy world of possibility, leads to something even stranger. It's a concept that directly attacks our most basic sense of separation. It's called quantum entanglement. Okay, so picture this. Imagine you have two coins that are magically linked. Every single time you flip them, they will always land on opposite sides. One's heads, the other's tails. Guaranteed. Now, you give one of those coins to a friend, and they travel to the other side of the galaxy. The very instant you look at your coin and see that it's heads, you know with 100% certainty that theirs is tails. It's not that a signal shot across the universe. It's that their fates were linked from the very beginning. That's entanglement. You know, even Albert Einstein, one of the greatest minds in history, was totally baffled by this. He's the one who called it spooky action at a distance. It just seemed impossible to him, because it looked like it was breaking the ultimate speed limit of the universe, the speed of light. How could one particle instantly know what the other was doing? So what this does is it reveals this fundamental conflict, this huge disconnect. Our everyday world, everything we see and touch, tells us that things are separate and solid. But the quantum world, the world underneath, shows us that reality is actually built on a foundation of deep, mysterious, and instantaneous connection. Okay, so if the tiniest building blocks of the entire universe can be so deeply connected, what does that imply for us? I mean, you and I were made of those exact same particles. And this is where we take a little leap, from the hard physics into some really fascinating philosophy. Now, this is a truly mind-bending idea. Some scientists and philosophers are now seriously proposing exactly this, that consciousness isn't just some byproduct our brains cook up. What if it's a fundamental field of the universe, just like gravity, a kind of shared awareness that is experiencing itself through all of us, through countless individual points of view? And what's absolutely incredible is that this very modern scientific question sounds a whole lot like ancient spiritual wisdom from all over the world. Traditions like Advaita Vedanta in Hinduism, or some core ideas in Buddhism, have been teaching for literally thousands of years that our feeling of being a separate me is basically an illusion, and that we're all just expressions of one single shared consciousness. And when you put it side by side like this, you can really see it. These two domains, modern science and ancient wisdom, which we usually think of as total opposites, might actually be pointing toward the exact same fundamental truth, that at the deepest, most profound level, everything is one. So this brings us right to the core of it all, the big so what question of our whole explainer. If we really are all connected in this fundamental way, well, how should that change how we live, how we treat each other? From this perspective, you can build a whole new logic for compassion. So let's walk through it. It starts with the quantum insight. The universe is one interconnected system. Step 2, we are part of that universe. It follows then that we are all interconnected. And if that's true, then any act toward another person is really an act that affects the whole system. So kindness, it stops being just a moral choice. It becomes a way of living in harmony with the way reality actually is. And this is the real kicker. Empathy and compassion suddenly shift from being purely selfless acts to becoming a form of profound self-interest. And I don't mean that in a selfish way. I mean it in a way that understands that by nurturing others, you are nurturing the entire system that you are an inseparable part of. All right, let's pull all of this together and see what it really means for our day-to-day lives, for the little choices we make, and for our place in this vast, amazing, interconnected cosmos. This, Right here is the ultimate takeaway. When we choose to act with kindness, with empathy, with real compassion, we're doing so much more than just being good people. We are actually acting in harmony with the fundamental structure of the universe itself. We're recognizing the underlying unity in a world that so often feels broken and divided. So this whole perspective, it's an invitation. It's an invitation to see the world not as a collection of separate people and things, but as a single, unified whole that's constantly unfolding. And that leaves you, with a pretty powerful question to carry forward. A question that could reframe every single interaction you have from here on out.